And welcome back, everyone, to the Daily 8 on Wood TV Plus. Phil Pinarski here with you. Now, we are about to get into our top 8 countdown of the top stories of the day in and around West Michigan. But before we do that, there is a story that has been getting a lot of attention, especially to start off this week, and that is down in Holland over at the LG Energy Solutions plant. See, they have been dealing with several issues over the past couple of weeks, and it really all came to a head over the weekend when 15 people that were located at that plant over the weekend had to be hospitalized after a chemical spill. Our very own Duncan Maclean has been following this story for really some time now and has been working with OSHA to uncover a bit of a pattern there at the plant. He joined us earlier this morning to talk about what he's working on later today. And News 8 reporter Duncan Maclean joining us now. Duncan, so good to see you again. Thank you so much for making time. As you've got quite the story that you're working on today and have been kind of for the past couple of days, and we've been following it here at News 8 after 15 people at the LG Solutions plant down in Holland were hospitalized after a chemical spill. Duncan, if you wouldn't mind, just for people that haven't gotten the chance to check out any of our stories so far, just kind of explain what that issue is right now.
Yeah, Phil, always good to be here on the Plus with you. It's really nice to be able to get more in depth on these stories that we end up following for days sometimes, and then we get 90 seconds here and a minute and a half there. This is a big one for the community of Holland. This LG Energy Solution plant, it opened about a decade ago, maybe even longer than that, and it's had a long history of safety issues, both according to former employees that we spoke with yesterday, and according to OSHA, who has uncovered quite a few violations over the last couple of years. The most recent one, a chemical spill that happened on Saturday evening. Holland Fire Department says it was a smallish spill for a facility like this, between 50 and 100 gallons of solution. LG telling us that it was a solvent solution that is used in the plant. There they make batteries for EVs as well as long-term charging solutions to store electric energy, often used at chargers for EVs. That is the newest section of their business. They expanded to do that just a couple of years ago. During that expansion, a contractor did fall and was killed in a workplace incident. Earlier this summer in July, another subcontractor was killed in a workplace incident, a crushing injury, as we know so far. And now this spill that is having some residual effects over the couple of days since, all kind of adding to this, what we discovered is a long list of violations at this plant.
Mm-hmm. And those violations, I mean, you were showing me before we even got started, it is kind of a lengthy list. And even just going back a few weeks ago, like you said, there was that incident with the subcontractor being killed in an incident at that same plant. And again, it just feels like this is maybe becoming a little bit more commonplace than not only the people at LG at that specific plant, I'm sure wouldn't like to see, but OSHA and just us here covering it that we wouldn't like to see. If you wouldn't mind just kind of going over what really you were able to uncover with the help of OSHA yesterday.
Yeah, so we did find out that all 16 people that were sent to area hospitals on Saturday, it was inhalation issues. They were showing some signs of illness from this chemical that was spilled. They're all totally okay. They were actually all released from the hospital later on Saturday. And that seems to be kind of a running theme in these violations, that none of, well, I shouldn't say none because a worker did die there earlier this year, but a lot of them are violations of protocols, violations of safety standards. The one that was cited a lot was a lockout tagout procedural failure, where when a machine has to be worked on, someone is in charge of turning off the power to that machine themselves and then locking it and putting a physical tag on that machine that says the power is off to this machine. It will not turn back on while you're working on it. They've been cited a number of times over the last 3 or 4 years on some element of that procedure not going according to plan. And that worker that we spoke to yesterday confirmed. He said that it was kind of he didn't say it was overwhelming all the time, they're failing this procedure, but it was always a point of stress, making sure that they get that right. There are a total of 20, as I look down at my notes here, inspections that resulted in violations at this plant between April of 2021 and late last year. Where's that page? And July of last year. Many of those were coded as serious violations, which OSHA says means that these safety concerns could have resulted in death or serious injury. 2 of them were willful violations, and that's what I really seized on. OSHA defines that as intentional negligence, essentially, that there is a recognized hazard that the facility chooses to ignore, which did result in some of the higher fines of any of them that they've done. There were also a couple repeat violations where they were cited for something that they were cited for previously, and even one failure to abate citation, which is they were officially told, you have to fix this, and then when they checked back in later, they had not fixed it. So it kind of runs the gambit of all of the different codes that OSHA issues for these incident reports. The other interesting thing that we found is the fine structure. Now, this is less a comment on LG itself and maybe more a comment on how these fines are levied and doled out. But they were, in every situation, a fine is issued, then there's a negotiation process, and there's typically a settled amount that they pay. Most of them are informal settlements, but pretty much every time it comes out to about half of what the fine originally should be. In total, the proposed fines, I'd call them, $259,600 just back to 2021. And that's not, the list continues. That's just all I had time to dig through yesterday. They've only paid $90,000 of that 260 possible fines. Now, there are a couple formal settlements. Those are associated with those intentional violations that I talked about just a second ago. Those are the ones that resulted in the formal settlements rather than informal settlements. But even those are still about half of what they were supposed to do. Those are the serious ones. 70,000 issued, 70,000 issued, 28,000 issued, and those all came down. Those $70,000 fines, they ended up paying $4,200 for each of those. So we're going to talk more with OSHA over the next couple of days about why that's the case. You know, speaking freely, a lot of times with corporate situations like that, that's just kind of the way it is. You know, we negotiate, we try to bring that down as much as we can. But definitely a pattern there out of this LG plant.
Absolutely. And, you know, again, just some incredible reporting on your part, Duncan, just being able to uncover these numbers and being able to explain it all like this. Have we been able to hear at all from LG? Obviously, they probably released a statement following that chemical spill, but have they been able to get back with you? Have you been able to talk with them about anything that's been going on, especially with this pattern that's been happening down there at that plant?
Not a ton from LG. I have not quite asked them about the pattern of infractions yet. Yesterday, they issued a statement clarifying 1 or 2 details about the spill. They're the ones who told us it was a solvent and that all the workers were okay at the time it happened. They wanted to emphasize that these weren't life-threatening injuries. This wasn't, it wasn't a huge deal, is kind of the spirit of what they were saying. And the Holland Fire Department confirmed that. There were signs of illness, they said, but nobody was in dire condition, and they all were released. None of them were even technically hospitalized. They all were treated in emergency departments at 3 different area hospitals and released later that night. So that's kind of what they focused on yesterday. We're going to reach out again today because there are reports that there was another incident last night after we were there, after we spoke with Holland Fire. I spoke with a representative this morning. We're going to talk a little bit later this afternoon about that incident. He did confirm that they had to respond to something there at that plant yesterday afternoon after our reporting was filed. So maybe there's a whole nother mess to get into tonight.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely be keeping an eye out on that. Again, pretty great tease for coming up later on, Duncan, for your story. Again, we're going to have the latest in all of our newscasts. And then, of course, over on our website, woodtv.com, we'll have the latest there whenever we do learn more from Duncan's interviews. Duncan, again, thank you so much for stopping by today. Good luck out there.
Bill, the best. Thank you.
And really appreciate Duncan stopping by again. He is going to have more information on this incident coming up later tonight in all of our newscasts this afternoon, as well as over on our website, woodtv.com. We'll have the full story as well.